there's this, I'll call it entrepreneurial lie of, well, I'm doing this for my family. You know, I'm out working hard because I'm supporting the family, but the family's sitting there, the spouse, the kids, and they're resenting the business you're building because it's stealing mom or dad away from the business. They're like, I just want mom and dad's time. That's all I want. I don't care about like the next toy in the toy box. And so I know you've got, we talk about this a lot, different phases of scale. And to me, what you're really describing is that first phase and all of the constraints around that first phase. Do you mind sharing, just kind of painting a little picture there around phase one of what you're talking about?
So we've got 4 specific phases of scale. We've deconstructed what it takes. And it all starts with the main advisor. The thing is the mindset, the limiting beliefs they adopt. The best way to point out what I would say is phase 1 is I've got a good friend. I would say that he's probably the best sales and marketing guy I know. He is incredible. He's impossible not to like. But he had these big dreams. He's got 3 young boys, and he says, I want to use my talents to the best I can. And he hit a growth pattern that most FMOs, you know, like when we were in it, he'd be number 1 with all of them. And he was just crushing it. And he was stimulated. He was doing great production. He was building a business around him to where I like to say he was the advisor in charge, meaning a lot of the thinking and decision-making was on him. A lot of the production was on him, and he had a lot of order takers. And he would kind of like, everybody gives him a different name, but he was throwing the ball, passing it out to different people to do. But eventually those people were doing tasks. They were kind of generalists. They weren't specializing, and the weight of the world was on who? It was on him. And I'll just say that it worked. He got very successful. He got to 60 to 80 million in new assets per year. But this model that we call the production-based model or the advisor in charge model, you can only get spread so thin. And it always leads to burnout. There may be people in your show now that are saying, I'm there. I hit burnout. I will tell you it's inevitable. If you've got an advisor in charge model where you're carrying the thinking, the responsibility of the business, if that's on your shoulders, it is inevitable you're going to hit burnout. He hit burnout, and I'll tell you that the truth is that the hardest part of the story, 3 young kids, he told himself the lie you said. I'm doing this for them. It's a season of sacrifice. Any season is not worth sacrificing for your family. And he got to the point he was burnt out. He got praised on a stage. Everybody clapped for him. Great job. 78 million or something. He went into the bathroom. He washed his face and goes, I'm not going to do this again. And he was at a crossroads. He goes, I can't do this again. It hit that thing where he's like, I gotta stop. Most people will burn out way before him, but he just decided to grow by brute force. And I'll say with burnout, there's 2 outcomes that happen. The first one is you hit that uncle point, you burn out, and you say, I'm going to stop growing. I can't do it anymore. When you stop growing, what happens to the business? It becomes a lot less fun. That becomes the prison you shared. You're there because you have to be to keep things going. But I'll tell you, take the growth away from an entrepreneur, you take away the excitement. That trickles down to every team member.
Yeah, 100%.
I have seen advisors who were successful and they just weren't excited about the business anymore. Do you think their team was?
No, the thing is, I can't get great talent on the team. Well, why do you think? You're not growing. It's not an exciting place to be.
You can't attract them. You have more of a toxic office. People need to be excited to go to work. And if you give up on growth, you might as well kiss that goodbye. It's not fun for anybody. So there's one outcome of burnout. Sounds pretty good. The second outcome is this, and he adopted this one for years. It's that guy who's relentless and says, I will continue to grow no matter what it takes, and he grows by brute force. And if you do that, and some people will, what are we giving up? Life. Giving up personal life, family. And some people will grow by brute force for years. I had a friend that had this happen years ago. And I was like just trying to get him to go focus on a different way. He had what I'd call as the advisor in charge model. He had like 7 assistants around him. He used to joke, he's the doctor and they're the nurses. But all the responsibility, all this was on his shoulders. And guess what? He got to the point, he was saying, 3 more years, then I'm done. The next year, guess what he said? 3 more years, then I'm done. Next year, what did he say? 3 more years, then I'm done. And finally, he hit the point where he goes, I am done. He sold his business for pennies on the dollar, and he just left the business completely. And what's really sad to me is seeing this, because he was incredibly gifted and talented. He put 20 some years into the business, and really what I would say is he had a very specialized skill and knowledge base. But he refused to give up control. He refused to build a business as opposed to a productivity shop. And that guy could have had the most incredible life and business together had he just seen the steps and adopted them fully. And I'll say that you can't create what I would say is a transformation from the productivity model to the scalable model. It's never going to happen on accident. It's never going to happen by you dabbling. A lot of advisors will say, okay, I'm going to do this. And they take one step down the path of building infrastructure. And then like 3 weeks later, they drift back to where they were. To create the transformation, you've got to adopt and completely see the world differently in how you're building your business.